The crying child's party was coming up very soon, so Henry decided to organize a party in Fredbear's family diner. In the days leading up to the party, the crying child kept having nightmares for the animatronics attacking him. In the day of the party, the older brother and his bullies decide to make a plan to ruin his birthday party. Sadly, they went too far. The crying child was dead, and because of this Henry blamed it on the animatronics, causing them to be retired.
Hello. There's been a slight change of company policy concerning use of the suit. Don't. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees. Safety is top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our technicians. Until replacements arrive, you will be expected to wear the temporary costumes provided to you. Keep in mind that they were found on very short notice, so questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected. I repeat, the classic suits are not to be touched, activated, or worn. That being said, we are free of liability. Do as you wish. As always, remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
After the child had passed, we get a glimpse of what had happened to him. He hears his mother's voice saying, "I will put you back together." In other words, the child's spirit does not pass on, and becomes the entity known as Shadow Freddy. A character only rarely seen, sometimes in FNaF 2, sitting in the back room, alone and scared. He's one of the only characters in the game that does not harm the security guard.
Crying child as Shadow Freddy teleporting to his dad's office to tell him he was alive, but what he didn't know, Henry had depression due to his 2 children dying. So he did even thinkable. Due to this, Shadow Freddy promise you will get revenge for this William and his older brother. Due to this event, William was moved to the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
For the time being, the location only used temporary suits, along with Mangle, the Puppet, and Balloon Boy. A few years after the Springlock suits were put aside, William begins stirring up trouble at Freddy's.
Hello. This is just a reminder of company policy concerning the safe room. The safe room is reserved for equipment and/or other property not being currently used and as a backup safety location for employees only. This is not a break room, should not be considered a place for employees to hide and/or congregate. And under no circumstance should a customer ever be taken into this room and out of the main show area. Management has also been made aware that the Spring Bonnie animatronic has been noticeably moved and would like to remind employees that this costume is not safe to wear under any circumstances. Thank you, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Now that William is working for a restaurant rather than running it, he isn't allowed to do whatever he wants, and is being called out for it. Here is my explanation as to why this training tape was made. It's likely an employee of Freddy's seen another employee, William, who was most likely working at the restaurant at the time, repairing the spring suits and helping with costume changes, taking a child into the safe room. William was wearing the retired Spring Bonnie suit in order to lure the child away. Before William had the chance to do anything incriminating, he was caught, and management was told that an employee was bringing someone into the safe room. Upon investigating this, management could see that Spring Bonnie had been worn. Out of frustration and anger toward that tattletale employee, William seeks his revenge against him. He convinces that employee to follow him inside the safe room. There, he stabs the man, or renders him helpless, and shoves him into the Spring Bonnie suit, setting it off with him inside. As we all know, there are no cameras in the safe room, so it was an easy place to get away with something like this. The next call helps us understand what happened soon after.
Hello. This is just to inform all employees that due to budget restrictions, the previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one. Work crews will be here most of the day today, constructing a false wall over the old door face. Nothing is being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault. Management also requests that this room not be mentioned to family, friends, or insurance representatives. Thanks again, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
As soon as management hears about a body being found in the suit in the back room, they make a plan. A plan to hide the body away. Instead of shutting down the restaurant, contacting the police, and allowing investigations to begin, they decide to hide it entirely. They didn't want any more bad media, any more closed restaurants, any more mistrust in their beloved characters. It's likely they believed that this was an accident, another Springlock failure. It was easier for them to just pretend they didn't know the incident occurred. And since the safe room was built without cameras, it was becoming more of a danger to have them left open. So they sealed the room, with Spring Bonnie, Spring Fredbear, and the body still inside, unwittingly helping a murderer get away with the crime. The old Fredbear spring suit was still kept in the back room, since that one never really seemed to have issues, something they would later regret. This incident is what brought the mysterious Shadow Bonnie to life, a character only rarely seen in FNaF 2. When he appears, he crashes your game. Since William was out of job, he took a normal one at Freddy's. Around early 1987, or late 1986, Freddy's was preparing for a big reopening with new characters, as the new production company had finished a new line of animatronics, the toy animatronics. These characters were a mix of various previous characters that Fazbear Entertainment owned, almost entirely built off of old designs. These animatronics were complete with facial recognition systems that could draw in more parents and also scare away potential threats. These new characters were a great selling point for the company. They drew in the numbers they needed once again. During the summer of 1987, Phone Guy began making training tapes for the night shift security guards.
Hello and welcome to your new summer job at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I'm here to talk you through some of the things you can expect to see during your first week here and to help you get started down this new and exciting career path. Now, I want you to forget anything you may have heard about the old location, you know. Some people still have a somewhat negative impression of the company. That old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while, but I want to reassure you, Fazbear Entertainment is committed to family fun and above all, safety.
The location that Phone Guy is referring to is the first Freddy's, where 6 kids were killed, and 5 of them stuffed into suits. After that had happened, the building was left to rot, till about 2 or 3 years later when the classic animatronics were moved to the new location to be used again, to no avail.
They've spent a small fortune on these new animatronics. Facial recognition, advanced mobility, they even let them walk around during the day. Isn't that neat? But most importantly, they're all tied into some kind of criminal database so they can detect a predator a mile away. Heck, we should be paying them to guard you. Now that being said, no new system is without its kinks. You're only the second guard to work at that location. The first guy finished his week but complained about conditions. We switched him over to the day shift. So, hey, lucky you, right?
Here Phone Guy tells us that another has worked there before the one listening now. That employee was undoubtedly William, and he actually had it easy compared to the nights we play in FNaF 2. At that point of time, only half of the animatronics were actually haunted, the withered animatronics and the puppet. And along with that, there was also the restless Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy. It's likely since William was the one working the night shift, it disturbed all the spirits and created chaos.
Mainly he expressed concern that certain characters seemed to move around at night and even attempted to get into his office. Now, from what we know, that should be impossible. That restaurant should be the safest place on Earth. So while our engineers don't really have an explanation for this, the working theory is that the robots were never given a proper night mode. So when it gets quiet, they think they're in the wrong room. So then they go try to find where the people are, and in this case, that's your office. So our temporary solution is this. there's a music box over by the prize counter, and it's rigged to be wound up remotely. So just every once in a while, switch over to the prize counter video feed and wind it up for a few seconds. It doesn't seem to affect all of the animatronics, but it does affect one of them.
One funny characteristic about Phone Guy is how he continuously denies any supernatural activities, and always chalks the strange behaviors up to glitches. He's a very realistic kind of guy, which is why the puppet bothers him so much. He knows that it shouldn't be possible that the puppet can leave the prize corner and enter the office, since the puppet is not an animatronic and should only be able to move with his strings. It defies his logic, and thus disturbs him.
And as for the rest of them, we have an even easier solution. You see, there may be a minor glitch in the system, something about robots seeing you as an endoskeleton without his costume on and wanting to stuff you into a suit. So hey, we've given you an empty Freddy Fazbear head. Problem solved. You can put it on any time and leave it on for as long as you want. Eventually anything that wandered in will wander back out. Something else worth mentioning is kind of the quirky modern design of the building. You may have noticed there are no doors for you to close. But hey, you have a light, and even though your flashlight can run out of power, the building cannot. So don't worry about the place going dark. Well, I think that's it. You should be golden. Check the lights, put on the Freddy head if you need to. Keep the music box wound up. Piece of cake. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hello? See, I told you your first night wouldn't be a problem. You're a natural. By now, I'm sure you've noticed the older models sitting in the back room. Those are from the previous location, and we just use them for parts now. The idea at first was to repair them. They even started retrofitting them with some of the newer technology, but they were just so ugly, you know, and the smell. So the company decided to just go in a whole new direction and make them super kid-friendly.
As you can see here, Phone Guy does vaguely mention that the location was open before, but problems arose and it didn't last.
Those older ones shouldn't be able to walk around, but if they do, the whole Freddy head trick should work on them too, so whatever. I loved those old characters. Did you ever see Foxy the Pirate? Oh wait, Foxy. Oh yeah, Foxy. Hey listen, that one was always a bit twitchy. I'm not sure if the Freddy head trick will work on Foxy. If for some reason he activates during the night, and you see him standing at the far end of the hall, just flash your light at him from time to time. Those older models would always get disoriented with bright light. It would cause a system restart or something. Come to think of it, you might want to try that on any room where something undesirable might be. It might hold him in place for a few seconds. That glitch might have carried over to the newer models too. One more thing, don't forget the music box. I'll be honest, I never liked that puppet thing. It's always thinking, and it can go anywhere. I don't think the Freddy mask will fool us, so just don't forget the music box. Anyway, I'm sure it won't be a problem. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hello? See, I told you wouldn't have any problems. Did Foxy ever appear in the hallway? Probably not. I was just curious. Like I said, he was always my favorite. They tried to remake Foxy, you know? They thought the first one was too scary, so they redesigned him to be more kid-friendly and put him in Kids Cove to keep the toddlers entertained, you know. But kids these days just can't keep their hands to themselves. The staff literally had to put Foxy back together at the end of every shift. Eventually, they just stopped trying and left him as some kind of take-apart, put-back-together attraction. Now he's just a mess of parts. I think the employees refer to him as just the mangle. Oh hey, before I go, I wanted to ease your mind about any rumors you might have heard lately. You know how these local stories come and go and seldom mean anything. I can personally assure you that whatever is going on out there, however tragic it may be, has nothing to do with our establishment. It's just all rumor and speculation, people trying to make a buck, you know. Our guard during the day has reported nothing unusual, and he's on watch from opening till close. Okay, well anyway, hang in there and I'll talk with you tomorrow.
Now Phone Guy tells us of some rumors going around. Tragic ones at that. Phone Guy tries to redirect it by saying it has nothing to do with Freddy's and may not even be true. He also adds that the day shift guard hasn't reported anything unusual, just another reason to be suspicious of him.
Hello. Hey there, Night 4. I told you to get the hang of it. Okay, so just to update you, there's been somewhat of an investigation going on. We may end up having to close for a few days, I don't know. I want to emphasize, though, that it's really just a precaution. Fazbear Entertainment denies any wrongdoing. These things happen sometimes. It'll all get sorted out in a few days. Just keep an eye on things and I'll keep you posted.
Now we hear that the rumors have grown into an investigation, and it may cause the location to shut down for a short while. Once again, he reminds us that it has nothing to do with the company and is nothing too serious, although we know better.
Just as a side note though, try to avoid eye contact with any of the animatronics tonight if you can. Someone may have tampered with their facial recognition systems, we're not sure. But the characters have been acting very unusual, almost aggressive towards the staff. They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter an adult, they just stare. Anyway, hang tight, it'll all pass. Good night.
What Phone Guy says here makes it obvious. Some of the toy animatronics are now haunted.
Hello. Hey, good job, Night 5. Hey, keep a close eye on things tonight, okay? From what I understand, the building is on lockdown. No one is allowed in or out, especially concerning any previous employees. When we get it all sorted out, we may move you to the day shift. A position just became available. We don't have a replacement for your shift yet, but we're working on it. We're going to try to contact the original restaurant owner. I think the name of the place was Fredbear's Family Diner or something like that. It was closed for years, though. I doubt we'll be able to track anybody down. So just get through one more night. Hang in there. Good night.
Now we find out that the building is on lockdown. This is a very telling part of the phone calls. We hear that the day shift guard is no longer working there, and it was very suspected that he was the one that killed the kids. Notice how he mentions wanting to contact the original owner of Fredbear's. It's a pretty strange thing to say out of the blue, but it's possible that they know the original owner had a run-in with missing children as well, so they may be looking into the company's history to track down the employee present for all of the kidnappings. If this is the case, William is in big trouble.
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Listen, just finish your shift. It's safer than trying to leave in the middle of the night. We have one more event scheduled for tomorrow, a birthday. You'll be on day shift. Wear your uniform. Stay close to the animatronics and make sure they don't hurt anyone, okay? For now, just make it through the night. When the place eventually opens again, I'll probably take a night shift myself.
Notice how Phone Guy says, a spare in the back. This makes it evident that Spring Bonnie and Spring Fredbear are no longer part of the picture, since they were sealed away already. The only yellow suit that was left was the old Fredbear. At this point, even Phone Guy has the details of the crime, so word is spreading like wildfire. William has been arrested under the suspicion of kidnappings, despite the fact that the bodies haven't been discovered. Now let's discuss what really happened during this time. We know that during the murders, William was a day shift guard, so he had the office all to himself, and he also most likely had to work up until the night shift guard came in at midnight. This was after hours, so he'd be there all alone. One could also make the argument that the day shift guard's hours end at closing, but that would still leave a gap of time of when William could be there alone before midnight. Realistically, a restaurant like Freddy's would close around 10 p.m. at the latest. During this gap of time, William can get away with just about anything. Near the end of the operating hours at Freddy's, William dressed in the Fredbear suit so he would be harder to identify, and was able to lure kids away. He didn't have the chance to use the safe room this time, since it was already sealed off. Instead, he most likely took them to the office we see in FNaF 2, since there aren't any cameras inside. The two newspapers about this incident and Phone Guy's calls paint a very clear picture about how things went down here. William used the same technique for each murder, but they did not all occur at the same time. This is because the newspaper states that he was arrested the next morning, but the phone calls begin with rumors that grow over time and become an investigation. How does that work? So I'll try and piece this together for you. The first time Phone Guy mentions rumors is during night 3, meaning that the latest William could have done something was during the evening of night 2, being June 24th, 1987. During this time, it's likely William murdered one child. This causes Mangle to become possessed. The next day, Mangle was most likely acting a bit different and was on Phone Guy's mind, because he does mention her in the night 3 call, along with the rumors. The evening of June 25th, 2 more kids were killed, who possessed 2 of the toys. The call the next day talks about an investigation going on, and also notes that the toys have been acting very unusual, and even aggressive. On the evening of June 26th, 2 more children were killed, and William is caught on camera. The next morning, he was arrested. This perfectly lines up the calls and the newspapers. Sometimes after you die in FNaF 2, you'll be given this minigame to play. Notice how this was the location we were just talking about, and yet all of the bodies are present at the same time. This is not literal. Just like most minigames, those figures are not bodies, they're actually spirits. This also tells us that this is the night or evening of June 26th, since all 5 are present. In this game, you play as a spirit possessing withered Freddy, hearing the words, "Save them" and "Save him" spelled out, as the puppet leads you around. Freddy is attempting to stop William. In most cases, he does not find him, but very rarely he will, who in turn easily shuts him down, most likely using the crank or tool he's holding. Now let's take a quick look at the 2 newspapers talking about this incident. Kids vanish at local pizzeria. Bodies are not found. 2 local children were reportedly lured into a back room during the late hours of operation at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza on the night of June 26th, while video surveillance identified the man responsible and led to his capture the following morning. The children themselves were never found and are presumed dead. Police think that the suspect dressed as a mascot to earn the children's trust. 5 children now reported missing. Suspect convicted. 5 children are now linked to the incident at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where a man dressed as a cartoon mascot lured them into the back room. While the suspect has been charged, the bodies themselves were never found. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has been fighting an uphill battle ever since to convince families to return to the pizzeria. It's a tragedy. As the newspaper states, the man has been convicted. Being convicted of a crime is to find that person guilty in a court of law. In other words, William is in prison. No, he didn't get away because the bodies weren't found. If that were the case, then the newspaper would have never said he was convicted. They would have only said that he was charged. William is in prison, and he's not going to get out. Not unless he breaks out. And this marks the last of William's murderous rampage. A few months later, in 1987, the location opens again after the murders, fighting the uphill battle as the newspaper stated. Phone Guy takes the night shift as he said he would. Soon after, Jeremy Fitzgerald takes over and fills the position. This is the character we play as when we play in FNaF 2. Jeremy somehow ends up listening to the previous tapes to learn about his job, and is welcomed into the family after making it through his 6 nights against the haunted animatronics. A few important characters to note here are Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy. Shadow Bonnie is the aggressive one that crashes the game, a spirit of one of William's victims. And the harmless Shadow Freddy is the spirit of William's son. The only time we see him is sitting in the parts and service. Look familiar? Also, JJ can be rarely seen under your desk, unmoving and doesn't harm you. He worked the night shift for 5 nights. At the end of them, he was given a check saying, "Welcome to the family," making it obvious he'd only just started working at Freddy's. Despite how dangerous the job was, Jeremy took the opportunity for overtime for an extra night, though this is not a decision he should have made. Sometime during that night, or possibly in the morning after his shift, Jeremy was bit by an animatronic on the head, causing immense damage. This was known as the Bite of 1987. Although there is not a clear culprit, it was one of the new animatronics, as the newspaper states. Most likely being Mangle, who has the largest, most dangerous-looking jaw. And Mangle never passes on. Jeremy had to go through surgery and have his frontal lobe removed to save his life. After this, the job was left to a new employee named Fritz Smith. Fritz is working his first day according to the pink slip he is given directly after his shift. He's also employee number 3, making Phone Guy 1 and Jeremy 2. Fritz was fired because he tampered with the animatronics and odor. It's likely Fritz was added to the game in order for us players to understand that Jeremy left. Directly after Fritz's night, the restaurant closed down from the bite of 87. This newspaper will tell us a bit more about that. Freddy Fazbear's is closing. After being open for only a few short weeks, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is closing its doors. The new animatronics will be scrapped due to possible malfunctions. However, the original characters are being kept in hopes of a possible reorganization of the company. It's a minor setback. We are confident that we will reopen someday, even if it is with a much smaller budget. CEO, Fazbear Entertainment. When the toy animatronics were taken apart and destroyed, the spirits were able to pass on. All except Mangle. Mangle remained restless. Not long after, Freddy's makes a comeback. The original characters were kept from the last location and refurbished into these characters: Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. The old Fredbear suit was left behind, but its spirit was not. Surprisingly, this location is actually the same location that Fredbear's Family Diner was in. This location still houses the very old, very dangerous Spring Bonnie suit from Fredbear's in the sealed safe room. That'll be mentioned later on. I'm sorry to say, but I have to cut it here for now. There are many more parts of this theory in the making. The entire theory itself is finished, but making the video is a long process. I hope you guys will check out the other parts as they come out, but keep in mind this theory was made before Sister Location was released. This means that whatever we learn in Sister Location may completely destroy this theory. Even if it does, I'll still be releasing the theory in full, so no worries there. Also, I would love it if you guys could go check out this channel. It's run by this really awesome guy who also put a ton of work into this video. He's the one who did most of the really good editing, by the way. He doesn't have any videos yet, but he will soon. Also, I just want to give a little shout out to DJ Sturf, a really nice guy with a fun YouTube channel. You can check it out here. He's the one who put together this little chart of text colors from FNaF 4. And as a little reminder, I will be live streaming Sister Location tomorrow as soon as Scott releases it. Hype, my friends! See you then!
Thank you, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear.